Greetings and welcome to this Huntington Learning Center webinar, Beyond Grades, How to Evaluate and Support Your Child's True Learning Journey. I'm Michael Hackmer. I'll be your moderator for today's event. On behalf of Huntington Learning Center, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today and making time to be with us. We know there's a lot going on, so we really do appreciate you making the time. If you've attended webinars with us in the past, you'll know that we use GoToWebinar. So on your screen, it'll either be expanded out or just be a sort of a small bar there on the side. You can click to expand it, and that's where we have all of our chat and question features. So if you have a question, you want to get them answered during the course of the event, please use that feature and submit your question as quickly as possible. We know we're going to do Q&A at the end, but we don't want you to wait until the end and then you've forgotten your question, right? So get that question loaded in. If for whatever reason we don't get to your question during the course of this event, we will follow up with you. Sometimes questions are technical. We need to do a little research. So bear with us. We'll get your question answered. If you run into any technical issues, use the chat feature. We'll do what we can to help you out. And as of course, we're recording today's event. This will be made available on huntingtonhelps.com. Under the resources tab on the website, you'll see a link to all of our webinars, all of our upcoming events, as well as our on-demand events. We typically send an email out in about a day or two, but if for whatever reason you don't see that email, make sure you check the website and you can watch the on-demand recording on our website. Before I introduce our speaker, I want to talk a little bit about Huntington Learning Center. As some of you know, we've been around for nearly 50 years, and Huntington, throughout the course of that time, has been a leading tutoring test prep organization serving students in grades K through 12. There are three things that really, I think, differentiate Huntington from other tutoring and test prep organizations or just going out and hiring a tutor. And the first is all of the programs at Huntington are taught by highly trained and certified tutors. We really think that that's very important to make sure that everyone who interfaces with your child has the training and expertise necessary. Second, Huntington is accredited by Middle States Association of Colleges and Schools. And the reason why that's important is because as your child goes through their educational journey, if they're getting certificates and degrees later in life, typically those institutions of higher education are going to be certified by Middle States. And lastly, but I think probably the most important of the key features that Huntington has is that we really use a targeted, individualized learning approach. All of our programs are designed with the students' particular needs in mind. So we really like to get kids in, get an assessment done, look at the areas where you have your strengths and weaknesses, and really build out a program that is specifically tailored to your child. And the results, I think, really do speak for themselves. In just 3 months on average, Huntington students see an average increase of 2.2 grade levels in reading and in math. And we're going to talk a little bit about reading and math benchmarks during the course of today's event. That's really very important. And then, of course, if you've got students who are a little bit further along in their academic journey, they're thinking about SAT and ACT prep, on average, you're seeing about 229 points on the SAT and 5.4 points on the ACT, which is really important. And then, of course, the scholarship, which I think is just a phenomenal added bonus, right? You know, we all want to have money for college and advanced education opportunities. And on average, Huntington students got about $71,000 in scholarship offers. I think over the last year or so, the total is over $187 million. So it's pretty significant and certainly a great benefit for your student learner. So to introduce our speaker, Marielle is a senior training manager here at Huntington Learning Center. And she's not just a senior training manager, she was also once a student. So she has come full circle in her Huntington journey. She's also won awards in addition to the overall training department. And in her tenure, she's worked with thousands of team members and has taught thousands of students the skills and confidence and motivation to succeed. So I'm really excited to have Marielle back with us and doing a webinar. Marielle, I'm going to turn things over to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Michael. So before we dive in, let's take a quick look at our agenda. We'll start by exploring grade inflation and why grades alone can be misleading. Then we'll discuss benchmarks. We'll identify red flags and share actionable strategies to help your child succeed. At the end of our call today, we'll wrap up with a Q&A session. So as Michael said, feel free to jot down any questions or share them in the chat as we go along. So for our first survey here, we're wondering, how do you feel about how your child is doing overall. And the options are, do you feel that your child is doing excellent? Do you feel they're doing well? Could they use some improvement? Are they struggling? Or are you not sure? So take a moment first and just fill out the quick poll. How are we doing with responses so far, Michael?
Yeah, we've got about 33%, 44% voted, 56%. So we're almost there. Give it another 10 seconds. So if you haven't had a chance to vote, please get your vote in, and we'll close it out in 5 seconds. There we go. We got a few more votes. That's good. All right, I'm going to close out the voting, and it looks like about 50% saying that their child could use some more improvement, but a good number of people say their child's doing excellent or doing well, so that's good.
Excellent, very good. So as we move forward, why rely solely on grades can be misleading. While good grades are encouraging, they may not tell the full story. And we have to remember that grades might not reflect comprehension, critical thinking, or even problem solving for some of your students in school. When a teacher says that your child is, quote, doing fine, it can sometimes mean that they're just meeting the minimum expectations, but they may not be excelling or reaching their full potential. It might also indicate that your child is not raising an immediate concern, but could still benefit from additional challenges or support. As parents, relying solely on grades means missing opportunities to intervene early and support your child effectively. So let's begin with grade inflation, which is a key challenge in assessing student progress. Grades often include factors like attendance, homework completion, or even extra credit, which can really obscure your child's true academic performance. This inflation can create an overconfidence, or even worse, it can mask struggles, leaving parents unaware of their child's challenges. Grade inflation has shifted academic standards over the years. The average high school GPA has risen significantly, creating a perception of improved performance. As highlighted by College Match Point, we see here on the screen, quote, high school grades are on the rise, but not necessarily for the right reasons. From 2010 to 2021, the average high school GPA jumped from 3.17 to 3.36. That's a big leap in just a decade. Even more eye-opening, by 2022, almost 90% of high school students were getting A's or B's in their main subjects. This grade inflation is making it harder for colleges to tell who's truly prepared for college. These trends really underscore the need for additional tools and perspectives to accurately assess students' readiness and success. Now, new data shows that student test scores have dropped a lot. In the spring of 2022, students took the first big National Assessment of Educational Progress, or the NAEP test, since the pandemic. It revealed the biggest drop in math scores for 4th and 8th graders since testing started in 1990. Only 33% of 4th graders are performing at level, which means 66%, or 2/3 of 4th graders, are not performing at the expected grade level. For 8th graders, even more staggering, 31% are at grade level, which means 69% are not proficient. This is lower than we saw in 2019. And these results really show how much the pandemic affected learning. There's a lot of work to do to help these students catch up. Now, the class of 2024 saw slight declines in standardized test scores compared to the previous years. The average ACT composite score dropped to 19.4 from 19.5 in 2023, while the average SAT score decreased from a 1024 to a 1028. Despite these declines, participation in the SAT and PSAT increased, with 1.97 million students taking exams, which is up from the 1.91 million in 2023. According to the ACT, only 1 in 5 or 20% of high school graduates in 2023 were ready for college classes. This is a 32-year low from the ACT composite score. And these trends highlight both the ongoing challenges in academic performance and the growing emphasis on standardized testing as a measurement for college readiness. When we look at these benchmarks, we're going to start here at the very beginning. Our goals for kindergarten through second grade are so important here. By the end of second grades, students should have built a solid foundation in both literacy and math, setting them up for continued academic success. In literacy, students learn to recognize and print letters, matching to their corresponding sounds. They also use phonics and context clues to read and understand unfamiliar words. They've read a variety of texts, including stories, fables, and informational pieces to identify key details, characters, lessons, and main ideas. As they develop their communication skills, students express their thoughts and ideas through speaking, writing, and drawing. In math, students are working on counting and solving equations, as well as subtraction problems, including multiple step problems. They learn place value, working with numbers up to 3 digits, and they begin to understand money and measurements. Finally, they practice dividing shapes into equal parts, building important mathematical concepts for the future. These foundational skills are crucial for the ongoing growth in the classroom. When we look at students in grades 3 through 5, by the end of 5th grade, students develop advanced literacy and math skills that build on early learning. So that foundation in kindergarten through 2nd grade is so important. In literacy, by the end of 5th grade, students are reading chapter books with accuracy and expression. They're analyzing both fiction and nonfiction texts to identify main ideas, supporting details, cause and effect, and sequence of events. They compare stories from different cultures and understand an author's perspective. By the end of 5th grade, they're now also working on writing. So in writing, students focus on expressing their ideas effectively, whether through research projects, through presentations, or everyday assignments, while using proper grammar, spelling, and vocabulary. In math, they master multiplication and division facts. They solve multi-step word problems and work with fractions, decimals, angles, and coordinate graphing. Their number sense advances as they demonstrate proficiency with larger numbers, with multi-digit operations and volume, as well as interpreting charts and graphs. These skills for students in grades 3 through 5 are providing a strong foundation for the challenges ahead that they're going to face once they reach middle school. Now, by the end of 8th grade, for those middle school students, looking at students in grades 6, 7, and 8, they refine their ability to analyze texts. They evaluate arguments and compare perspectives while effectively presenting arguments and conducting research. Throughout, their math skills here progress from understanding ratios and rates to mastering linear equations, geometry, and functions. These foundational skills prepare students for the analytical and problem-solving demands of high school coursework. What we need to keep in mind here for middle school students, it is critical in middle school to set your child up on the right path for high school success. Being in the right classes, especially math, is essential to open up future opportunities. For example, taking pre-algebra and algebra by the time a student gets into 8th grade lays the foundation for their ability to take more advanced AP classes like AP Calculus in high school. Grades 7 and 8 really determine which tracks your child will be placed in by the time they get to high school. So it's important to build that strong foundation now. Remember, when it comes to high school, the first step is middle school, and it all starts here. For high school students, they're focusing here on building advanced skills in analysis, research, and problem solving to prepare for college and careers. They evaluate key historical documents, they interpret complex arguments, and synthesize diverse perspectives, gaining a deeper understanding of historical context. Through in-depth research, they learn to use reliable sources and explore figurative language in literature. In math in high school, students apply advanced concepts like functions, complex numbers, and trigonometry into real-world problems. While all students are expected to complete Algebra 1, 2, and geometry, advanced learners will also have the opportunity to take pre-calculus, statistics, and calculus. These experiences help students analyze, evaluate, and solve complex problems, laying the foundation for future success. Now, as part of the takeaway that Michael mentioned, we are going to also include some of these benchmarks. So I'm sure some of you are taking notes. We will include this in a follow-up as well. We have to keep in mind, though, that beyond grades, you have to review your child's schoolwork and observe how they handle challenges. Do they avoid reading or struggle with focus? Do they communicate with teachers to understand where your child may be falling short? Are you asking for detailed feedback on specific skills like critical thinking, problem solving, or creativity? For example, ask if your child is struggling with analyzing information. Ask if they're struggling with staying focused, with generating ideas. Ask if there are certain tasks like reading, and if they need to have more support in a particular area. These detailed feedback allows for you to identify where your child may need some extra help and guide you to be able to step in. Now, reading comprehension is foundational to success. Discuss books with your child to build critical thinking skills. Reread things like their favorite stories to reinforce confidence and mastery. Introduce new vocabulary and use it in everyday context to strengthen their understanding. When looking at your older children, suggest relatable books with themes or characters that they identify with, and let them select their own books that match their interests. Take an opportunity with your older students to go to the library. Have that librarian sit down with them and show them where the young adult section of the library is, so that they can choose their own books. We need to make sure with older students to encourage them to read a variety of genres and different types of texts. So fiction, nonfiction, essays, articles. Discuss themes with them, discuss the character development and the author's purpose. Teach them strategies like annotating the text, taking notes, summarizing paragraphs, and asking critical questions as they read to deepen their understanding. For younger students, reading out loud and discussing books together is an excellent way of building critical thinking skills. Ask questions to your child about the story and encourage them to think deeper. Questions that you might ask may be, why do you think the character did that? Or what do you think will happen next? Again, rereading stories can also reinforce their understanding and build confidence as they become more familiar with text, and they can focus on details each time. Learning at home should be positive and it should be stress-free. Normalize mistakes as learning opportunities and set up a quiet, focused environment, integrating learning into daily life. Doing things like reading recipes, playing math games, or exploring books together are a great opportunity to really see what your child is capable of doing and where there may be opportunities to step in. Now we have another survey here. And for this survey, we're asking, is your child reading at grade level? So are they reading above grade level, at grade level, below, or is this something that you're not quite sure about? Take a moment or so to answer those survey questions.
So we got about half people have voted, so give it about another 15 seconds. So if you haven't voted already, get your vote in. And as Mariel mentioned, we're looking to see if where your child is in terms of their reading grade level. Are they above grade level, at grade level, below grade level, or if you're not sure, just click on that. So we're going to close things out in about 5-10 seconds. So if you haven't voted, oh, got a few more. Excellent. So it looks like a vast majority of people so far have selected that their child is reading at grade level. So that's over 57%, but a little over about 14% have said that they're reading below grade level. So that's definitely something that parents can be working on there. So I'm gonna close out the poll and turn things back over to you, Maria.
Thank you, Michael. So now that we've gone through reading strategies, we want to talk for a moment about math. When working with your children, help them build their math skills in everyday life by playing things like math-based games, solving real-world problems like calculating shopping costs or road trip distances, and using visual aids like number lines. You want to encourage them to calculate their tips or discounts in their head and review their math homework together to reinforce what they're learning. There's so many opportunities for really seeing where your child is performing in math just by including some of these activities in your day-to-day activities. So just like we looked at for the reading, we're wondering here, another survey, are your child's math skills at grade level? And again, do you feel that your child's math skills are above grade level, at grade level, below grade level, or are you not too sure?
All right, we've got about 60%, almost 60% people voted. So we'll close things out in about another 10, 15 seconds. So if you haven't had a chance to vote, please let us know if you think your child is, in terms of their math skills, above grade level, at grade level, below grade level, or if you're just not sure at this point. There we go, we got another Flurry. So a little over about half right now, Mariel, are saying that their child is at grade level. 38% are above grade level, which is outstanding, and about 13% are below grade level. So we'll close out the poll. Thanks to everyone for participating in that poll. Back to you, Mariel.
Thank you. So as we just talked about reading, we talked about math. We now want to look at lifelong learning, so learning overall. You want to make sure as a parent to encourage curiosity and a love of learning in your child. Some of you said that your children are reading and doing math at level, and others that they're below. Having that love of learning is something that is so important to start really at any age. Reward effort and resilience, not just results. By focusing on the process, you'll help your child build confidence and develop skills that go beyond the classroom. So take opportunities to talk. At dinner, ask your children how their day was and share about your day. Create opportunities for exploration, providing hands-on activities, projects, or experiments that encourage students to ask questions and seek answers independently. Modeling curiosity allows your children to learn how to build things like a paper airplane on YouTube, things to demonstrate your own interest in learning by sharing what you have explored or studying, showing that curiosity is a lifelong mission. Make sure to connect learning to real life applications. Highlight how knowledge applies to everyday situations, making it more engaging and relevant to your children. You also want to make sure to encourage questions. Fostering an environment where asking questions is celebrated is making sure that your children understand that no question is considered a silly question. And promoting a growth mindset. Reinforce that abilities can be developed through efforts and persistence, shifting the focus from fixed intelligence to the joy of learning. Now let's talk about how Huntington certified tutors can help your children do well in school, and a few options for your students as you wind down the school year, and make sure that you are setting your students up for the second half of the school year really for success. Our foundational programs are our Learning Center and exam prep programs that we just went over really in the beginning of this call. Our Learning Center programs are academic, skill-based programs where we're looking at the students' academic needs. These are for students in grades kindergarten through 12th grade. And we work with students in phonics, reading, writing, spelling, math, sciences. We work with students in study skills, specific subjects, as well as an ADHD program. And our test prep program prepares students for state and standardized exams. And this includes things like the SAT, the ACT, PSAT. We work with students on state tests, preparing for advanced placement tests, as well as high school entrance exams. At Huntington, we always begin with a full academic assessment. Huntington's academic assessment, the evaluation here, helps our teachers identify your child's academic strengths and pinpoints the exact gaps that they're experiencing. With this information, we create a personalized program tailored to your child's needs. This academic evaluation allows parents to stop guessing and get the answers to the needs. This allows parents here to take action and help their child achieve their full academic potential. Our Huntington Advantage program is perfect for families with children in different grades. For elementary students, we build and reinforce skills needed to succeed in reading, writing, phonics, math, and study skills. For middle school students, we'll get your children back on track to improve grades and even prepare for high school. We'll help children face more homework and higher expectations. And those who are already in middle school will help them with knowledge reinforcement and getting prepared for the year to come with more advanced learning. For high school students, we have customized programs in study skills, writing, math, and science. And just like with any student, we tailor the learning to the student's precise needs. We also have numerous test prep programs for different types of students and different types of tests that these students are taking, like the SAT and the ACT. Now, Huntington helps students improve their SAT scores and open doors to their top college choices. Here's how we do so. We start by a comprehensive evaluation, or really a full practice test. We then pinpoint the student's strengths and weaknesses so we can design a program that is tailored to the student's abilities and goals. We then develop a personalized exam prep plan based on the results of the practice test. The student will then be set up with a certified tutor to begin prep. We offer flexible scheduling for all programs, which are available in a one-to-one format, online, in-center, or via a hybrid approach that involves a mix of both in-person as well as online. Students who complete the SAT and ACT prep program see an average increase of 229 points on the SAT and 5.4 points on the ACT. We're proud of our proven results and offer many advantages like flexible scheduling, certified, experienced teachers, and a variety of prep choices. Huntington has the experience and proven results in prepping students for any test, especially the SAT and the ACT. So call us today to set up an evaluation and get your program started as soon as possible. We have one more survey here.
We're actually going to do the survey at the end of the webinar, Marielle, so we can just jump into the Q&A if that's all right.
Perfect, absolutely.
All right, make sure you get your questions loaded in. And so let's dive in. We've got a few questions that have come in during the course of the event, and we are going to run a quick poll as well as we're talking. So be on the lookout for that. And the poll is just to get an idea of where your child is in school for this current academic year. So, so the first question, Mario, is how often, you covered a lot of stuff, so how often should I check in about my child's reading and math levels with their teacher or teachers? It's a good question. A lot of times parents, we just don't know, how much is too much, or is it vary between whether your child is in elementary school or high school? What kind of guidance there would you offer?
I think that's a great question. My own child is actually in first grade right now. So we get report cards, we get parent-teacher conferences in the beginning of the year, but that's really it. My recommendation here, if you're ever questioning what is going on in school, if you have a concern about your child, don't wait. Don't wait until grades come in. As we've talked about, grades do not make up the entire the entire ability of a child when it comes to what they're doing in school. If you have a concern, follow up with the teacher, check in with them, and see what's going on in school. Ask them questions that really give them an opportunity to provide feedback on what they see your child doing. Where are the successes? Where are the challenges? And if you're working with your teacher and they're really pinpointing some areas of academic challenges, that's where Huntington Learning Center can certainly focus in on that academic evaluation to be able to pinpoint the areas of focus and the areas of need and put together a program to help to turn things around for your child.
Great. So we'll leave the poll open for about another 20 seconds or so. So if you haven't had a chance to vote, we got close to about 70% participation, but let's try to get that close to 100. So if you haven't had a chance to vote, just let us know what year what grade level your child is in the current academic year. Next question, what can be done to address learning benchmarks? And I think this person also asked as a follow-up, does Huntington have a program that's designed to meet these particular needs?
Yeah, so that's what I was referencing just a moment ago too on that academic evaluation. For any students, the academic evaluation really is our #1 opportunity to be able to see how is your child performing against the standards, against grade level expectations, and against what a student at that same age and grade should be performing in school. So by doing that academic evaluation, it will allow us to see what are the areas of focus that are needed. Because every child, every student is different. Yet the expectations for certain grade levels all remain the same. So we put together a program that is really pinpointed to focus in on the areas of concern, those skill deficiencies, if you will, to make sure that your child is beginning to start to meet those benchmarks. And eventually, throughout the course of the program, we'll be able to get your child up to the proper level.
Excellent. So let's do one more, and if you don't mind, Marielle, too, just we've covered a lot of material. After this question, I'm going to ask you about some key takeaways that you can offer for the parents. But this question here, I'm concerned about grades versus what my child is learning. Can I ask my teacher to include benchmarks and grade levels with each report card? So that's something we kind of both talked about a little bit earlier. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that with the report cards, it's a great opportunity for the teachers in your child's school to give you more details. For most report cards, and I can speak to my own child's report card, she gets her grades, but then there's always that comment spot. So having conversations with the teachers in advance of really what your needs are, what you're looking for, and having that conversation with them, if there is any concern, it will allow your teachers to better communicate with you and better be able to give you a clearer picture of where your child is performing against those benchmarks, and maybe even some good recommendations of what to do at home and what to look at.
Oh, that's excellent. Let's dive in just before we wrap things up. A couple of key takeaways. Obviously, do the academic evaluation. That's going to be really helpful. But what are a couple of key takeaways that you would offer for everyone attending today's webinar?
I think for today's webinar, really with the concept of beyond grades, it's having a conversation with your child. Whether your child is in first grade like mine or they're in high school, talking to your child and checking in. How are things going? How is school? What do you need extra support in? Where can I help you? And having those conversations will create that open door, that open dialogue for your child to either share concerns or at least feel comfortable being able to say at one point or another that they're struggling. I know that with middle and high school kids, they're not always very open to telling you about their concerns and their problems, but creating that open door, that open dialogue definitely sets the stage to allow them to reach out and share concerns if they have them. The other thing that I would recommend is to engage with the school, engage with the teachers as best as possible, because we have to keep in mind some of those questions that I mentioned earlier. Asking questions and asking for feedback from the teachers. How are you seeing Johnny perform in your classroom? What are some areas that you think that we need to work on more at home? And asking for additional follow-up, additional feedback can only help you understand a little bit more of what's going on in the classroom that you just are unable to see since you are not there with your child. But having conversations, engaging with your child and the teacher, and if there is an opportunity for you to say, you know what, I'm really struggling here, I don't know how to fix this on my own, keep in mind that Huntington Learning Center is here to help and here to support and help bring your child from where they are to where they need to go.
Well said. And you can see we have the 800 number, so 1-800-CAN-LEARN. You can also visit Huntington at huntingtonhelps.com. And definitely talk to one of the academic advisors you speak to, and they can point you in the right direction and answer some of your questions. Now, before we conclude, well, as we conclude today's event, you are going to get one last poll, and it's going to be really helpful for us. It's more of a 2-question survey. So after the webinar ends, it should pop up on your screen. Give it a couple of moments. We just want to know what you thought about today's content, and also what are some of the academic challenges that your child needs the most support with in terms of closing out this academic year strong and going forward. Mary Carol, thank you so much. This has been really informative.
Thank you.
All right, folks, this concludes today's presentation. On behalf of Huntington Learning Center and Mary Carol, I want to say thank you so much again for giving us your time. We really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, be sure to reach out to us at huntingtonhelps.com or 1-800-CAN-LEARN. That concludes today's event. We look forward to seeing you at the next webinar. Take care, everybody.